What I'm going to do in this video is show you how to manage item visibility and category visibility on Square Online. Now, there's two places we can do this for items and one place for categories. First, we're going to look at it in the item library. So once we're in the Square dashboard, we'll go to items and we'll take a look. Now, I'm going to open this 6th Street Grill option that's in my Appaloosa's location, which is my made-up fine dining restaurant. Firstly, we're going to scroll down. Once we have it open, we're going to scroll down to where it's sold. Now, I have several sites in my system, but likely there's just one site, maybe two in your system. But what I'm going to show you here is this little switch is basically what controls it for the most part. And I have it already enabled for Appaloosa's. But if I enable it for this Mine Austin one, then it's going to warn me and say, hey, there's no fulfillment methods at this item's location, and we're going to have to configure our locations and our fulfillment settings for that. But because we don't really want it on that site, we're just going to turn this on. I have all of my locations set up correctly, my fulfillment, all of that, and I'm just going to move forward assuming that you do as well. The next control for our visibility is this site visibility. So once we have it turned on, that kind of loads it into the system, and I'll show you what that looks like. Over in Square Online, we go to Site Items, and then we let it load. Sometimes it's a little slow. And basically that means it's going to show up, and I'll get rid of this, it's going to show up in this area, in the Site Items. So sometimes we can have an item, so it doesn't matter what visibility is set on this setting. If we have this switch on, then we're going to see it here, but it might not be set to visible. So the next thing that we have to make sure is set if we want it to be visible is set it to visible. Now the difference between these is they kind of stair step in a way. Visible means it's visible, of course, that's the name, and customers can find it, they can search for it, they can see it in categories, they can purchase it, they can do everything you expect with an e-commerce item, right? And then the next one is kind of in between visible and unavailable for hidden. So I'll explain unavailable. Unavailable is it can't be found, it can't be purchased, it's not visible to the customer, whether they search for it, whether they have the link for it from previously. If they go to the link, it'll just give an error if they've like bookmarked it or something, and they can't purchase it, they cannot access it. Now the hidden is kind of in between those where it's not visible, but it's purchasable. So you can't find it in categories, you can't search for it, but if you have the link directly to it, then you can purchase it. So if you have a member exclusive item or something like that, maybe that's useful, but that's the three options. Now, if we want it to just be visible, purchasable, like a normal item, we're going to make sure this switch is turned on, so it's loaded into Square Online, and we're going to make sure that it's set to visible. Now, I already had those settings set, but if we didn't, we would click Save, and it would update within a couple of minutes. I'll show this to you while we're on the item level controls in Square Online as well. So we have this 6th Street Grill, the same item. I'm going to open it. And then we're going to see, once it's loaded in here, we have control as well again of visible, hidden, unavailable. We can set our fulfillment, which we can do over in the item library as well. We can do almost all of this, really all of this actually, in our item library. So we really never need to spend any time in here, but I just want you to be aware. So you can set visible, hidden, and unavailable, and then you can remove it from the site, which doesn't remove it from the system, but it will remove it from the site. So basically what that does, if we select it and we do remove from site, what that actually does is it just, and I'll open it again to show you, what that essentially does is turns that switch off. So if we go over here and we do remove from site, that's essentially like turning that switch off. It removes it from the site. So it's kind of like this switch makes it available in the site, it loads it into the site, and then we set the visibility here. Now, that's all for item level. We're going to switch to categories. Now, all of the systems, all the categories later here in August will be merged. So from here on out, and you can actually go ahead and manually tell it to do this, and I highly recommend that you do, set it up correctly so there's no problems. Now, I'm going to show you the categories. If I click on this, it just takes me to the item library categories. So I'm just going to X out and I'm going to go over here to categories. And then we're going to see this this online visibility option. So it tells me all of my categories, except a few, are hidden from all sites. Well, all these categories anyways. And then I'm going to find the category for that 6th Street steak. I think it's entrees. It's not very important, but we'll just open appetizers. Ah, no, I found it. Carnivore delights, that's it. Okay, so then this is where we control our channel visibility. Now, we can have the items available on other channels, and I didn't mention that, but if we go back over and we want to make sense of this, we go back over to our 6th Street Grill, then we'll notice these channels, if there's more channels like Facebook, DoorDash, etc., and we can add them. Yeah, Google, Facebook, Instagram, DoorDash, etc. Then those will show up here and we can have some control here, and then we'll have more control up above or below the where it's sold section. But then going back over to our categories, we have those same controls over our categories. So we have our channel visibility. If we click edit, then we have our online sites. We can select different online sites to display it on. And we can also edit our Facebook, our Google, our Instagram, and our DoorDash category visibility. Because what this does is it allows us to control all of the visibility in Square in the item library. But because the systems aren't separate, sometimes we need to regroup some of the items into different categories that make more sense for the front end, for the customer, and we want to kind of separate those two systems so that we have a separate set of categories that's available online, shown to the customer, and then maybe we have a separate set of categories for internal, for the reporting, for the kitchen, etc. So these are all the places we can control the visibility on the item level, on the category level. And then I'm going to discard this, it's struggling. Those are the ways we control our visibility. And let me know if you have any questions. I hope this helps. And that's it.